What's up, people? So I'm redoing the broadcast that I was doing earlier on. Sorry about that, guys, but a lot of things went wrong with that video, so I want to make it correct with this one, all right? Now, some of you guys checked out that other video, and that's cool, but we're coming back with this one. It comes again from Psalms 104. I'm coming from verse 2, I'm going to verse 5. You cover yourself with light as with a garment. You stretch out the heavens like a curtain. You lay the beams of your chambers in waters, and you make the clouds your chariot. You walk upon the wings of the wind, and you make your angels spirits, your ministers a flaming fire, who lay the foundations of the earth that it shall not be removed forever. And basically, I wanted to highlight where you lay the beams of your chambers in the waters. And everything there is waters. If you haven't checked it out, it's vapor. Everything there that you're speaking about is vapor. And that's to do with spirits, in other words. And I was saying before that, only 3% of the ocean, I don't know how they got the percentage, but 3% of the ocean is actually known by us and by scientists, right? And to think that the world is 75% oceans, that says we don't really know much about anything, right? So it's really cool when you really start to look at the oceans, like, you go off to the coast of Portugal in the oceans there, and there's these great big pyramids, like, they go up, tens of meters up into the air, and there's these settlements underneath the sea. And that's, that's why people talk about, the city of Atlantis, and then they talk, you see, you see at the bottom of the ocean, they discovered this tremendous structure there. And, you go to certain parts of the ocean, well, the deepest that they have gone is a couple miles down to the base of the sea. But they know that there are chasms inside of the ocean that go even further down than that. And, the water pressures are ridiculous. I'm talking about, like, you go 2 miles up in the air into the sky where, commercial planes fly, the ocean's as deep as that, as far as they know. And it, only 3% has been discovered. So we don't even know if there is deeper than that. And more than likely they are. And, when you look at the sea creatures in the ocean, it's really cool because you have these deep diving creatures like sperm whale. Every now and then giant squid come up to the surface. Every now and then you have these strange looking fish, monstrous fish, big fish that come up to the surface. It makes me wonder, when we say that a certain species is extinct, is it that they're extinct, or is it that they went straight down to the bottom of the ocean and they only come up at certain points where mankind hasn't really paid attention to? The ocean's a vast place. I mean, it's more than land masses, and we think that land mass is great and vast. The ocean's vast. So I'm pretty sure there's places covered in the ocean that we haven't even just explored at all. And I'm talking about areas where animals are, because what we found out is that some of the extinct species of animals we think are extinct in the ocean, they appear at certain spots in the middle of the ocean. We have these oases that happen because of volcanic activity. Lots of volcanoes underneath the ocean, and volcanic activity bring these huge mountains, and these mountains now have coral and they have plant life growing on them. And because of that, all these animals from all over the place in the middle of the ocean, right? There's this island kind of sticking up. They go there and they feed and all that stuff. And we found out that was, certain species of nurse shark that we thought were extinct, they end up there. And this is like we are now discovering these things. And it's kind of like, if I am really to be fair about this, I would say that it's actually better off that we did not know these animals existed, because then the animals wouldn't be troubled by us. The most dangerous animal on planet Earth is humans. We are the most dangerous animal, bar none. We are the greatest predator, the greatest destroyer. We are the greatest evil to the earth because we kill for fun. We kill animals for fun. We don't kill to eat. Animals kill to eat. Okay, they don't kill for fun. So it's like, when you think about it that way, it's really cool that some of these animals can dive really deep down to the bottom of the ocean and stay there for hours if they're air breathers, or if they're not air breathers, they can live at depths where mankind just can't reach. so we can't really get to them, and the pollutants and stuff don't really reach that far because they disseminate into the water, and then the water kind of purifies them or whatever. So I just thought it was very interesting. And so, yeah, as I said before, this segue to Aquaman in the sense that Aquaman could reveal all these things and kind of show us a glimpse of what the deep darkness, the really deep darkness of the ocean could be. And, some of the monster creatures that you're going to see in Aquaman, they're actually literal animals at the bottom of the sea at great depths that look something like those animals. So I thought it was really cool to just mention those things. All right, that segues into what I really want to talk to you guys about, which is the Spirit of God, and how love and God, the length and breadth and width of God, love, His Spirit, is a very vast thing, And when you are able to do simple acts of love and kindness, you actually tap into that, and there's just no limit to how far that can go. Okay. So I want to talk to you guys about a couple of things. So first of all, I want to start off here. This here has to do with Zack Snyder's revelation that the Robin that we saw in Batman v Superman is actually Dick Grayson. And let me come out of this for a second. Some people were somewhat annoyed by this, and I'll just show you an example that I have on Twitter here. So on Twitter, I'm live on Twitter right now. There was a guy who he was just pissed that Zack Snyder. By the way, this is the polling that we were doing. So we have had 2,177 votes, and out of them, 94% of the people, and I've polled pretty wide. My poll goes pretty wide. It doesn't matter. I mean, once you're a DCU fan, like I went to what I've been doing on Twitter is basically, going into the Justice League, the people who have liked Justice League, or they've subscribed to Justice League, or they're following Justice League. So I went to the Justice League, official Warner Brothers Justice League Twitter page, and then I just looked at all the followers of that movie, and from there I was able to just go in and just arbitrarily, I'm abstractly going through them. It's like 200,000, I think it's 205,000 followers there. So I've been delving into there. I've also been delving on social media at the same time, Twitter or whatever. And so I've been pulling up different people, and they have been doing this poll. Now I only have 2 more days left. I advertised it also on YouTube. I also put it up on Facebook. And so these people have been coming in. So I got 2,177 votes, which is a little bit like, okay, if you think of it in terms of the amount of people who may have watched the Justice League movie or were interested in following the Justice League page, that's like 1% of that, a little bit over 1%. It's an okay sample size. You would like to get to 5%. Maybe after 2 days, I may get to 5%, which would be really cool, which would be like 10,000 votes. So if I could get something like that, but this is some kind of quantitation I wanted Warner Brothers to see. And so that's what we had. But anyway, there was a guy who commented here, and he said, I used to like Zack. Now I don't, after the BS that he pulled with Nightwing. That is to say, where, like I just showed you there, that, Richard Grayson or Dick Grayson got killed. Okay. And this other guy, he denies that. He said, dude, it's in his head, which is Zack Snyder, which did not and will not make it to screen. It's still Jason who has died. I don't know where he gets that idea from. Not in the DCEU, but we already know the evidence there. And I just wanted to add some extra information to that. But first, I'll show you guys the video of what I'm going to talk about first before I get there. So come out of this for a minute. And in this video here, okay, so we know when this is a deleted footage from from Suicide Squad, which they didn't even show. And in this, Batman says, the Joker took something important from me. Now I'm going to take something from him. That's Batman talking to Harley Quinn. And so the guy asks, is it Jason? And Zack Snyder says Richard, which Richard is the proper name for Dick. Okay. Don't ask me how Dick is the short name for Richard. It's the same thing like, how is Bill the short for William? I don't know. It's just what it is. I don't know why. But anyway, it's Richard. So Zack Snyder said that, which is Dick Grayson. And everybody was in an uproar about that. But I want to show you guys something, okay? So first and foremost, when Zack Snyder said to Moen, he said, what makes you think this is Jason Todd, which is the dead Robin? Anthony Fabrizio commented on that, saying, "This is so great on so many levels. Would BVS Bruce even bring in another Robin if Dick were killed? I say no way. Also, Dick Grayson dying would really add to Bruce's plunge into darkness." And that's a good point, because there are a number of things to that, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Now, the most important part there, I think, that is interesting, or should be interesting to you and other people, and by the way, you can comment in the chat section, okay, is that it's interesting that Dick Grayson dies in this universe. But like you said, first of all, which is something very interesting, it would cause Bruce to be hesitant to take on another Robin, one. Two, his dying would also add to Bruce's kind of darkness, or his depression, or his feeling of helplessness, right? And that's important in the narration of Batman v Superman. But also, remember, Dick Grayson, who would be the Robin, would have been crime fighting with Bruce for a while. All right. And from what we know, at least from the Suicide Squad movie, she was an accomplice to the death of the Robin, which was 10 years ago, according to, I think it was David Ayer, and I think Zack Snyder also hinted to that, which means Bruce Wayne would have been working with Dick Grayson for 10 years. So it was like he had an ongoing relationship with this guy. All right. Now, here's another thing that's very important for people to understand. And I think this is the thing that I think a lot of people kind of overlook. I'm going to visually show you guys this. I'll show the guy on Twitter in a series of pictures as well. If you look at Batman 1966, which is the first time we had Batman and Robin, where the Robin, now we had Batman and Robin before that, actually. We had iterations of Batman in the before that, okay? There was some black and white Batman and Robin, but that was on TV. Now, Batman 1966 had a film. Now, there was a TV show as well, but it also came out as a film. So on film, Dick Grayson was the Robin in Batman 1966. Okay, in fact, they actually said it. And his what is it? His sidekick, his official sidekick and aide, Dick Grayson. Okay, they literally say that in the movie. So that Robin, which was in Batman 1966, was Dick Grayson, and Batman was Bruce Wayne. Okay. Now, the next time we saw a Batman and Robin in a live-action film was in Batman Forever. Okay, and Bruce Wayne was here, and again, we had the introduction to Dick Grayson, or Richard Grayson. They called him Richard, Dick, but he's called Dick for short. So Richard Grayson was Dick Grayson, and they actually showed his background, how his parents got murdered, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and so Batman was actually Bruce Wayne, and Dick Grayson was Robin. The next time we saw it was in Batman and Robin of 1997, where again you have Dick Grayson here, the same actor who was playing Dick Grayson in Batman Forever, but they replaced that actor, which was Val Kilmer, with George Clooney as Bruce Wayne. Okay, so you had Robin, who was Dick Grayson, and you had Batman, who was Bruce Wayne. So it's not really a surprise that Zack Snyder would now come back to that, and he would use a Dick Grayson again, because it's film, and he would have a Bruce Wayne. It's just that the story is a little bit different in that Dick Grayson is dead now. Okay, remember, all the other iterations of Batman and Robin we saw was Batman with an early Robin, and then Batman again with, you know, Robin doing adventures with Batman, but it's early in the game. It's not 10 years haven't passed. Okay, so this iteration on film is saying that, okay, more than 10 years have passed and Robin's gone and Batman's by himself now. And so I find that very interesting, because if you look at Batman 1989, Batman's by himself, there's no Robin. And then by Batman Forever, we get a Robin added to the equation, and we see Robin with Batman and Batman and Robin, right? With Batgirl, by the way. And also, if you look at I mean, the Batgirl there was this interesting iteration, because she wasn't Barbara Gordon per se, I don't think. She was a relation to Alfred, which is very interesting. But keeping it going, the earliest form of Batman, which was Batman 1966, also had a Batman and Robin, and even on television we had various iterations of Batman and Robin in black and white films, and they were all Dick Grayson. Okay, so now when we come to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, it makes sense that we're bringing back Dick Grayson into the equation, but this time he's dead in this iteration, not Jason Todd. So I think Now Zack Snyder says one of the reasons he says that it's it'd be a good idea to be Dick Grayson is because Bruce Wayne has suffered loss, and if you look at it, Bruce Wayne first suffers the loss of his parents, right? Particularly his mother, which was very important to him. Then he comes and loses Dick Grayson, and then finally he also loses his family that is in Wayne Towers. And we know for a fact Bruce is right now in Wayne Towers, I believe in Metropolis, and he gets this note. So Bruce, actually, you see Bruce working in Wayne Towers, right, in Metropolis. And he's in Metropolis and he's watching the footage of this thing. So it shows us that it only adds an extra screw to Bruce having these losses. And it would be nice, it would make sense that Bruce is alone, because he wouldn't take up another Robin if the very first Robin is dead, right? He wouldn't take up another Robin, right? So there you go. So that's, I guess it fits in when you think about it. It fits into the narrative pretty well. And so even though initially I was preferring Jason Todd myself, when I look at, these iterations and these things, it makes sense that all of these different factors push Bruce to want to clash with Superman, right? And what's so cool about this, as I was saying in the video before, was that when you look at Bruce clashing with Superman here, this is straight out of a Jim Lee comic book, right? This is the actual echo of it here from Jim Lee. So I wanted to point out these things to you guys before going on to what I want to talk to you about next, which is a follow-up on the release of the Snyder Cut. So I just wanted to show you guys the dates so you guys will remember when you have to post next. I did this in the other video, but I'm going to do it again. So for France, it's the 17th of August. You got to get your stuff ready, get your cover letter on and everything, and make sure you're ready to ship your stuff out. After that will be Australia and Sri Lanka, and then the UK. All you people up in the UK, Greece, Mexico, you guys get ready, and then it's our turn. It's my turn in the Caribbean, Colombia, Uruguay. Okay, then Russia and Hawaii. Okay. All Russia, Hawaii, Hungary, India, Pakistan, and the rest of the United States of America. And then California can take up to the 24th. I may post mine a little bit before that on the 20th, because you just never know what kind of delays could happen from the Caribbean. Got to make sure I get my stuff together. Don't forget to address the envelope of your letter with attention, Mr. Walter Hamada, 4000 Warner Boulevard, Building 168, Burbank, California, 91522, United States of America. And it's better you do it in your own handwriting than you type it, so that you can personalize it as much as possible. If you want to put photos, pictures of yourself, whatever. All right, in there. I'm going to put a picture of myself. I'm not going to put anything else. I'll check out Fiona Zhang very soon and see what she did with her letter, because she's already sent it. She's from China, by the way. Fiona's in China. All right, so let's get back to Twitter. I already kind of told you guys what was happening on Twitter, though. So I kind of already told you guys what's going on there, but I'm going to go back to Twitter here. So this is the poll so far. Invite different people to come and check out the poll on Twitter. By you guys spreading the news on Twitter as well, it'll help a lot in our this poll. I only have 2 more days. Actually, one of the I forgot what his name is, the DCEU podcast with Sam Otten and another brother. I forgot his name. You gotta excuse me for not remembering the name. I think it's called the PLU podcast. All right, the DCU PLU podcast, I think it's called. But it's really cool because he was saying, man, we don't have more days to build this poll because it looks like it's growing all the time, because this poll is growing all the time. All right. Yeah, I would love it to be more, but it only has a duration of 7 days. So I can't get it any longer than 7 days. So what I have to do is probably run a second poll on there, and probably the same people who voted before, they'd come back and vote again, and we can have additional people, and it can spread the news about it. And I'm going to run consecutive polls until we can get to a really big number. Unfortunately, the problem with this poll is I can't get to as many people as I really want to get to. It takes a while to get. Sometimes I have to go individually, etc. It would have been nice if we had a team of people to just kind of spread this poll all over the place, and have people, in strategic places, sort of retweet the poll, and a lot of people see it. Then we could really get a bigger number. As it is, it's kind of like a sample size, 1% of the population of people that actually were following the Justice League movie. But what I can say to you guys is that I'm still working on it, and for the 2 remaining days that are left, I'm going to try and do as much work as possible. If you guys can assist, that would be great. So that's what I wanted to give for updates for the Snyder Cut. Let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section. I'm going to come out of this and see what you guys are doing out there and what you guys are saying out there. Yes, I deleted the last video. I deleted the last video that we had. I deleted it, so I deleted it. It had too many errors and stuff on it. So I see there are a bunch of you that want to have a discussion. So let me see what you guys are saying in the discussion section there. Wow, there's a lot of you guys here. Okay, let me see what's up. Okay, let's get to it. Goat Films, what's up, man? Goat Film said, I retweeted your Snyder tweet and pinned it on my Twitter. Awesome, man. Cool. Snyder Cut tweet, great. The more people can see it, and if you can also even share it, you can do like what I do if you guys want to, and share the tweet by simply going to people, talking to them if they want the Snyder Cut, or even if they don't, and asking them to participate in the poll, and then retweet it. Or you can very simply attach the poll to there. But the thing about it is, when you attach the poll to your tweet, if you do it too many times, it'll call you spamming. So what's the best thing to do is, instead of even attaching the tweet to your poll, or the link, you could probably just talk about it. So if you look at the many different invites I have, I kind of mix it up, but essentially I say the same thing, which is basically there's a poll being conducted about the Snyder Cut. Please vote on the poll, and you tell them where the poll is located, or tell them where the poll is located. It may not be easy to tell them that without putting a link. So, or you could tell them, if you have it, as like with you, Goat Films, you already have the poll pinned up at the top of your profile. So you can just say, come to the top of my profile. There's a pin poll there, and you tell them, please vote. So that's one of the easy way to do it. So, but at the end of the day, I'm going to everybody. You see, I'm going to all the actors. I'm going to everybody, and I'm asking them to vote on the poll. Everybody, high profile people, non-high profile people, people with a lot of followers, people without a lot of followers. And so that's how we can get it done. And just if one of them basically retweets it, to all their followers and everything, that could make a big difference. So that's why I'm kind of pushing for it. But thanks a lot, Gold Films, for doing that. Giovanni Adara says, Sony is making the Sonic in the Hedgehog movie. Oh, that's cool. That's off a video game. It should be interesting. I don't know how much depth that would have. That'd probably be like a Roadrunner movie, kind of like. I don't know. Gold Film says, I can't wait for Sonic. It sounds interesting. Giovanni Adara says, Mulan M. Dora 2. I don't know what that is. GoFilm says, yeah. I saw the new Predator movie trailer, so that looks interesting. And I do want to see Mission Impossible 6 before it comes out of theaters. Giovanni Adara says, hella new movies. Yeah, some of these new movies are going to be cool, man. Some of these new movies are going to be awesome. Giovanni Adara says, I hope they can make the Ronin Warriors movie. That'd be dope. Okay, cool. I don't know what that is. Ronin Film says, people are saying that DCEU fans only want the Snyder Cut because it'll fix the CGI lip. Nope. I think there's a lot of additional footage that has been left out of Justice League, quite frankly. You know, there was the comment made by Jay Oliver about, you know, if you guys have ever seen Justice League War and the cyborg story in that, that was not even touched upon really well in the Justice League movie that we had. So there's a lot. There's a lot of stories still to go that we didn't have it because they chopped it down. So no, that is a problem as well. But mostly just kind of get Joss Whedon out the picture, and let's just see Zack Snyder alone. And if we can get some Junkie XL stuff in there, that'd be great. If not, you know, Hans Zimmer will do. Goat Film says maybe Dick is short for Richard because you remove the R. And you got Ichard, and remove the A and second R, and put the D at the front, and you got ditch, but they just replaced the H with the K. You're making a completely different word. I don't know why Dick is short for Richard. I don't know. Same thing like Bill being the short for William. I don't get it, but it is what it is. Giovanni Dardari says Tom Cruise as Green Lantern. No thanks. I can't see it. I can't see it either. Giovanni Dardari says Hasbro's new Power Rangers movie. I don't want to see any Power Rangers movie. Thanks, but no thanks. Giovanni Dardari says the new Batgirl is going to be that girl that they are chasing off of Twitter. These people saying she's not gay enough or some kind of crap like that. But she has her own team of people who are pushing for her. Giovanni Teodara says, keep the hope alive. Oh, yeah. GoFilm says, if you make another poll, once then current one expires, it'll get bigger and bigger and the message will spread more. Yeah, exactly. And then you can have more people pin it up on their, post because they know it's coming. Yeah. GoFilm says it'll be funny if the real Zack Snyder votes for the Snyder Cut on your tweet. You know what? I had to send him one. I forgot to send him one. I've sent to quite a number of people in DC Films. I haven't sent to Gal Gadot either as yet, or Jason Momoa. Did I send to Ray Fisher? I think I sent to Ray Fisher. I can't remember. GoFilm says Venom still doesn't interest me. No, man. Unfortunately, I can't say that I'm interested in Venom, but I am kind of slightly interested in Predator. I saw the official trailer. The short trailer didn't have me interested at all. It looked like a comedy. The longer trailer was actually more interesting and more intense. I don't know what they have planned for Predator, but it should be, well, we'll see. I don't know. I can't really say, but I know that I forgot his name. The cinematographer for Batman v Superman, he seems like he has something to do with that film. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, guys, well, that's basically it for tonight. It's 10:37 in the night. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I don't really have much more to say except, always going the way of love is the best way to go. I got to go to sleep now. Got a lot on my mind. But, I just wanted to share something that I love with you guys, which it has to do with movies. So WB shouldn't push Cyborg off to the side and remove his scenes. Right. Well, the whole thing was artistic integrity. That's why the Snyder Cut, I've been talking to different people in different arenas, and I've found different ways to articulate what I really want to say. And one of them is artistic integrity. I do believe that, corporate committees should not be sort of determining the creative direction that a director is actually doing for a film. I think that's the problem. When you start to basically try to engineer a film and supposedly course correct what a director is doing, I think you drastically hurt the characters in the film, and you drastically hurt the film itself by doing so, especially if you have no experience in making movies. So I think that's the problem. When you start making movies by committee, you get some really weird looking things. Some people called it a Frankenstein of a film, a monster stein of a film. And I get why they're saying that now. And you can't do that. You can't compromise the artistic integrity and expression of a director. You just don't do that. And all the movies that ever do not as well as they should have is because they compromised the artistic expression of a director. The directors, that's what they do. That's what they do. They do movies. So you just let them do the movie. You know what I'm saying? Let them do the movie. You know, it's strange. The MCU is allowed to get away with that with their fan base, maybe because their fan base, you know, likes jokes and they appreciate jokes. But when it comes to the DCEU, you have a much more sophisticated fan base. A fan base is looking for a certain degree of realism to their movies, and you just can't, you won't get away with it, you know. Before you go, what's your thoughts on the Metallo DCEU design? Awesome. It's awesome. I saw some of the concept art and the design for Metallo. I love it a lot. And the guy who is going to play, the guy who played Wallace O'Keefe or Wallace Keefe, he, I don't know if he turned Metallo after the explosion or before the explosion. It'd be very interesting to know if he survived the explosion to start with. But he was going to be Metallo, and that made sense that he was going to be Metallo. So that would have been very interesting. And, you know, again, Metallo came out of a serious accident that happened towards, I think his name was Connor, something Connor, right? I don't kind of remember if it's Junior or what. Those of you know the comics. This would have been O'Keefe, but still, it would have been a very interesting seeing Metallo there. That would have been great. And you didn't have to take out the Doomsday. You didn't have to take out Doomsday from the equation. You could still have Bruce Wayne stealing the kryptonite, but you could have Lex Luthor holding back a piece of kryptonite to make Metallo. You know, that's how Metallo comes to be in existence. So it would have been awesome if they could have had Metallo in Batman v Superman Dawn of the Dead. That would have been great. It added to even more, and it could have carried the storyline even further, because just imagine if Superman stops Metallo, but that's the distraction to keep him from knowing that Lex Luthor was going to create Doomsday. Eventually Superman still dies to Doomsday, but he stops Metallo, you know, so you get him preoccupied with Metallo in the storyline, and, you know, it would have been great. It would have been great, you know, but it is what it is. You know, it's cool. It's cool. It is what we got. It was still a masterpiece of a film, BVS, you know, but probably would have had a little bit more of something for Superman to be occupied with, and it would have made the story for those people who are kind of short, you know, they have short attention spans and stuff. I would say the movie's boring. They probably would have been occupied with that, you know. I saw a video saying reasons why Aquaman might flop, and it's sadly convincing. Hopefully it manages to succeed somehow. Well, I don't want Aquaman to flop. That's the thing. You know, I've been looking at some of the Funko Pop toys coming out of Aquaman. I see they keep the original Aquaman logo, and then they sometimes, you know, use the shore, you know, the sea, you know. And from what I heard, what James Wan said is he was actually using the logo for Orm or Ocean Master. So it's really Ocean Master's logo you were seeing, not Aquaman's logo. Aquaman's logo is still the original logo. And all I'm saying is, if Aquaman turns out to be still originally what James Wan planned, I don't think it's going to be a problem for me. I'm going to enjoy the movie. I just need to see a trailer to convince me of that. For instance, when I saw the shortened Predator trailer, it looked like a comedy, and I was like, I'm not watching that. That looks like crap. You know, but when I saw the extended longer trailer that was much more serious and had a tension behind it, I really enjoyed it. So trailers really can make or break the interest in the movie, and it doesn't mean that the movie's not good. So the first Aquaman trailer just did not convince me of anything. I was not interested in it. The Shazam trailer was, it was okay, but it was more like a comedy, and so I wasn't really interested in it either. But at the end of the day, those are trailers. That's not the movie. You understand what I'm saying? The movies could be much better than the trailers are, or the next trailer could get me fired up for it. You know what I mean? So it's not that Shazam and Aquaman are not necessarily good films, and maybe James Wan's already made a good Aquaman film, but they choose to, you know, promote it and advertise it a certain way, which again, you have to know the pulse of the DCEU fans. So I'm trying to find out the pulse myself by looking at, you know, bigger and bigger numbers with this poll, and that poll will tell us, but still the majority of the poll tells us that 90-something% of the fans so far I've interviewed, they do want in some way, shape, or form, they want a Zack Snyder cut. So even the people who are telling me that, you know, Justice League was an okay movie and everything, and it was cool, or I'm cool with the Justice League movie, for reasons different to the people who are pushing for the Snyder Cut. I still want to see the Snyder Cut. I'm still curious about it, but I would love to see the Snyder Cut, but he's it's for different reasons than what the Snyder Cut fans are saying. Even so, the majority so far of DCU fans, they don't have a problem seeing the Snyder Cut. They would like to see one. So I find that very interesting. So even though people may come from different views and backgrounds, they seem to want the Snyder Cut, and that's why my poll seems to be strongly towards getting a Snyder Cut, even if you maybe even satisfied with what you saw for Justice League. Even some people said, even though it's outside of the realm of canon, what they're calling DCEU canon, which there is, so far everything is DCU canon so far, but let's just say outside the realm, they're saying that even so they want to see it. So I'm absolutely happy to see that. And that means that people will put their money where their mouth is. I just wish I can get a bigger poll size. I can get a huge poll. And even if the poll goes 75, 60, 80%, even, but the numbers are just there for Warner Bros. To make this, release this film, then they should do it. They should do it. And they should do it before Aquaman, if you're with them, so that, fans wouldn't be disgruntled. They wouldn't be angry going into Aquaman. And then when they go and watch Aquaman, see certain things they don't like, they just kind of blow up on Aquaman. I think the calculated move for Warner Bros. Is actually to release the Snyder Cut before Aquaman. I think if they try to do it after now, I think somehow that's not going to work for them. I just don't think so. That's my personal opinion. So the date kind of is pulling closer and closer. I think you need to get those disgruntled fans, you need to get them happy again by showing them the Snyder Cut. Let them moan and groan and say, "Oh, this wasn't in the movie, man." You know how DCU fans are. And after they've moaned and grown everything away, you can now introduce your Aquaman, and it won't sting as much. Even if it's Marvelized, it won't sting as much. And some fans will go see it, some won't go see it, some will love it, some won't love it. But at the end of the day, there will be no backlash to that. There wouldn't be this vitriol and hate because they moved away from Zack Snyder. No, at least they gave you what you wanted. You wanted to see Justice League movie. You got your Justice League movie. Now you can watch that as much as you want. If you want to go see Aquaman, fine. If you don't want to go see Aquaman, fine. But there's no vitriol. You understand what I'm saying? So that when you go to see Aquaman, now you're all salty and angry and stuff. You knew they were going in a different direction, right? Gotham says, but why didn't WB release it already on Blu-ray? It would have helped. Yeah, I would have thought so, but they're still in denial, it seems, and they're saying it doesn't exist. So, but I think that they'll give Zack Snyder the light of day if we as fans keep on pressing them, and we have to show that we're big. We have to show that there's a sizable chunk of us. They need to see how much of us actually want the Snyder Cut. If they can't see those numbers, well, they would have run their internal polls, right? But if they don't see the numbers supporting a reason to release the Snyder Cut, and see that this base of fans is a sizable chunk. Like, for instance, if Warner Brothers has an idea that, for instance, 100 million fans are back in the Snyder Cut, and 100 million fans would boycott them if they're going down the Marvel route. If they have any idea or feedback on that, they will definitely deliver the Snyder Cut like tomorrow, right? But they have no idea. There's no quantification. And that's the problem. We're talking as fans, but how many of us are really active? How many of us are really there? How many of us really want this cut? If we're just a minority, if we're just 2,000, 3,000 people or 5,000 people, why should Warner Brothers worry about that? Why should Warner Brothers care? If we are tens of thousands, or we are hundreds of thousands, or we're millions, then that gets their attention immediately. So that's why I'm saying it's about quantity here. And this is the only way we can prevent, the DCU from falling. It's the only way is to speak like this to Warner Brothers as real fans, sincerely towards them, so they will understand we care about the DCU. We don't want it to go away, but they have to understand how significant we are. We're not just this small little minor set of people here, this little cult in the corner that's saying this. No. We're a sizable chunk of the DCEU population. If we withdraw support from films because we are disappointed, discouraged, sad, or we've given up on the DCEU, if we withdraw support, it's a sizable chunk of us that's disappearing from your market, and they need to know that. So if somehow, some way we can prove that we're about 100 million people or 200 million people, you know, that's a big chunk of money. Okay. Do you know 200 million people in the cinema equates to $800 million? And if those, let's say there's 200 million of us. Okay. That's a huge number, by the way, but that's worldwide. They're just people who love the DCU movies, and it's a 200 million of them. That's them and their families and all that stuff. And just imagine if, I know there's not 200 million of us, okay? But just imagine there was that. And they go and see the movie multiple times. You easily cross a billion, okay? Now, the only way they're going to build up a fan base like that is if they let the core base, which is probably 80 million people worldwide, they let that core base build up to that base. That's how you have to do it. And then they'll have it. But they're trying to reach outside of that core base, and that's their problem. They're trying to reach new fans because they think that the core base is too small, and they're not letting the core base or the fan base drive that traffic for them. And that's what it is. Jacob Torres says, if we give Walter the letters WB can't ignore, and no history can't be repeated. Right. So that's why we're doing the snail mail. But the snail mail is one approach. We have to do multiple approaches. So if we can show WB online, for instance, there was 205,000 people, some very recent and some otherwise, who showed interest and followed Justice League on Twitter. Okay, the Justice League movie. So if we could have had 20,000 people in a poll, that's 10% of the population of the followers of Justice League on Twitter. Now, what that would show in a week, in 7 days, you could get 20,000 people. What that would show is that 10% of the population we just captured. And 10% of that population, what percentage wants the Snyder Cut? And then they can just simply multiply by a factor of 10 to find how many people would actually buy the Snyder Cut who have shown an interest in Justice League on Twitter. You see? And then they can crunch that number, and then they can say, okay, so on Twitter, this is the kind of interest level we have. Okay. And so that's what you have to look at. So it's those kinds of things they can use. They can actually use these things. The snail mail, they may want to quantify the snail mail. They may also want to look at the qualitative aspects, what people, different little samples. They can't read all the snail mail, but, little samples, or they can scan out all the snail mails and pull information from them, whatever they want to do. But at the end of the day, the snail mail pouring into them, they may not quantify, but they will look at various, random letters in the snail mail to see what different people are saying and get feedback from that. So at the end of the day, this is data for them. Jacob Torres says, plus pleasing haters since 2013 was a huge mistake. They listened. Superman never smiled and no jokes. That was low, and that's low. They listened also to RT. Right. Since Man of Steel, that's correct. The thing about Warner Brothers is they feed off of data. So they're always trying to make changes. And that's why they always seem like they never can make up their mind on something. They go this way, then they go that way, then they wag, because they seem to feed off of data. And, the loudest voice in the room seems to be what everybody's saying. So they go with that. Unfortunately, they don't really carry out real scientific polls to really find out what people who paid money to see their movies are actually saying. And that's the thing. We as fans can help them with that, like I'm doing right now with the Snyder Cut, and gather data that way. The interesting thing about that was, as I was gathering data, and as the more the poll began to progress, I saw some voices come up and speak on my poll. And one of them was like, I know it's just a poll, the guy said on Twitter, and he said to me, but you're wasting your time. You should really focus on the future films and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, listen, look, it's a poll. And since you're here at the poll, did you vote? You might as well vote, because you're speaking on my poll, and then retweet the poll. And I was telling him this because it's like, it's a waste of time telling me not to do this because I've already done it. When you've already put out the effort and have done something, it doesn't make a difference now. It's already done. People are already responding to the poll. I'm not going to stop doing the poll. Like, it's done already. In 7 days, it'll be finished. So I wanted to show him that, like, you telling me not to do this because you think it's not fruitful is not going to help you, because it's already done. when something's already done, it's done, you know, and I choose to go down that pathway. So it doesn't really matter what he says. And so at the end of the day, I'm not going to like argue and fight up with people anymore. I'm not angry about anything because I'm doing something about the situation. So I'm not angry anymore with anyone or anything. It's just, I'm not even angry with Warner Brothers anymore. I'm just kind of cool right now, just doing it, pushing the Snyder Cut. And I spent a lot of time pushing the Snyder Cut, and that's just where I'm at, you know. Um, I think that, you know, we as DCU fans need to speak up for what we love. Um, in society, we have to speak up as well. There's a lot of challenges in society. We have to do the best we can. What we have no control over, we can't do anything about. I mean, for me, it's not about anymore about, you know, succeeding or losing. It's just about doing the right thing. And whatever the results of that is, it is. You know, I just have to live with that. But I prefer to do the right thing, have a clear conscience, know that I did the best I could. That's what I'm about. So, you know, for the other people who are not about that, it's okay. That's all right as well. You know, um, I mean, we're only here for a season, right? So might as well try and make the best of it. So that's how I look at it. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a good night. It's almost 11 o'clock in the night. I don't want to keep anybody back. Hope you guys enjoy yourselves. I'm going to be on Twitter. If you guys want to help me out on Twitter by sharing the poll, pinning it up on your wall, and directing people to your pin on your wall and stuff like that, that'd be cool. Tagging in people to the poll and stuff like that, that'd be cool. Hopefully, we can run some other polls. I want to run a poll on YouTube as well in live stream, but I want to get a lot of people's attention. Maybe you guys can spread the word, and then I'll just run a poll on YouTube where it's very simple. It's not going to be a poll, but I will be in video format saying how much you guys want the Snyder Cut, and you just I don't really know how I'm going to actually. Oh, I know how I'll do it. So what you do is, if you're the first person to say release the Snyder Cut, which means that you want it, you number yourself 1. Okay, so you guys will do the numbering. So once you say release the Snyder Cut, you put a number behind it, 1, 2, 3, whatever it is. So you find out where your place in the whole thing is. And so that's how we can number it. You guys just have to look for the next number, the latest number, and then you just go one up from that. And that's how we can quantitate it. It's that simple. So that's how we'll do it. And those of you who don't want the Snyder Cut, then you can also number yourselves the same way. All right. All right, guys. I hope you guys have a great night. Jacob Torres, Goat Films, which participated tremendously here. Giovanni Dario. Who else we got here? That's it. That's everybody. Man, you guys have a great night. Shout out to Dave, Ethan, William Ruffin, William Adams. You guys are really awesome people. Leroy Kong, all of you guys, man. Peace. You guys have a great night. Hope you guys have a great remaining week. Today was Wednesday, the middle of the week. This Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I always tell people you love that you love them, and keep on loving the world. That's the best thing you can do. All right, guys. Have a good one. Peace.